gotta take a loss just to get the win. Like lots of sims popping it like oxygen when boxes wet. Focus on the mental, never lose like smooth instrumental. Better choose on the move in a pinto. Choose what I get to, never lose smooth on the move, but it's simple. Never give up if we want it, then maybe we just keep winning, we conquering daily. Envision that pay me is never the
What's happening, everybody? Andrew LeDuc, aka Mr. Mallard, on Divots and Pivots here on That Sports Podcast Network, joined as always by Bud Copeland, Mr. Chief of Morale, and brought to you as always by Acorn Hills. Get on over to acornhillsco.com. Use discount code TBFY15 for that 15% discount, and they got you covered. Nate and the gang will take care of you good over there. Yes, Podcast Smitty, thank you for jumping in again. What's good, fellas?
Smitty!
Here every week, and we love it. So thanks for stopping in. Bud, how are you doing tonight? Because I know after you say hi, we got a lot to talk about, but I want to get right out to a pivot real fast. But how are you doing, sir?
Awesome. Speaking of Acorn Hills, shout out my boy Nate. I just got a package from him today, and he tossed in a Freedom Splatter pullover. If you remember, I was rocking the Freedom Splatter a lot, and Gorilla Hands accidentally ripped the zipper. And I went to go reorder, and I didn't see any in stock. And so I just kind of sent him a note like, hey, do you happen to have any lurking around? It says online they're out. And lo and behold, when I got my new pullovers and the polo and the keychain, there was Freedom Splatter. It's upstairs going through the wash. Not because I don't trust Nate or anything like that. It's kind of habitual. You get new clothes, you wash them. Like you said, man, tons to talk about. You've got a pivot. I wanted to open with a pivot, but listen, age before beauty. Go for it. Where are we going first?
Okay, so this is just fresh in my mind because we were just watching it. But have you watched the new Hunting Wives show that everyone's talking about on Netflix?
No, thank you. I'm so happy that we're having this conversation. You're at least the seventh person in the last week to bring up this fucking show with me, and I gotta tell you, this is gonna sound I'm gonna be one of those people. I don't watch a lot of TV. Like I don't watch a lot of serial shows. This is when I do. And as a matter of fact, I'm glad you brought up Hunting Wives because now I'm going to have some flights coming up. That's when I watch shows. So I'll save
not want to watch it on a public plane where everyone can see your screen.
I don't give a shit. Listen, it's 2025. Okay. If I'm sitting in for, as long as there's not a minor next to me or behind me, I don't do that. I don't give a shit. It's one of those things where I'll download a series, and I did that with Landman season 1. It was 10 episodes. I think all told running time, it's like 8 hours and 17 minutes. And that's about how long it took me to get from my house down to Florida, including layovers. No, I'm not watching Hunting Wives, but what's the premise? Like, fill me in. So, obviously you're there. I'm not. So spoilers and whatnot.
Yeah, the premise, without spoiling anything, is basically that this is like a small town in Texas, and there's the upper echelon class of these families and these women who are running their families, and they hang out, they don't work, they're affluent, and they like to do fun things together. And
who gets killed? Do they deserve it or not deserve it? Are these women vicious or are they righteous?
Well, we don't know yet.
Okay, I like that.
That's what I was gonna say. Everybody's talking about the show because of the sexual side of it, where there's a lot of girl on girl stuff going on. There's a lot of nudity. This episode just took me off guard because Netflix went full frontal male nudity. Guy opened the door and was just swanging it all over the place. And I was like, oh, Netflix is turning a corner here.
Man, dussy right in your face.
Yeah, so that's what my main thing coming out of this is like, whatever. We've all seen naked people in shows and movies and whatever.
Seen penises and vaginas and breasts.
We're on YouTube though, so I'm trying to keep us in the algorithm. They don't like certain words said. So
like strictly anatomical terms are going to get us?
I'm not sure. I haven't read the guidelines.
I agree. Listen, we're going to err on the side of caution. This is a family show. God damn it.
Yeah, so it's that's what everyone's talking about. But I'll tell you what I'm getting out of this is just the line that Netflix has pushed for themselves, because I've never seen Netflix put anything out like this. That's basically old school Cinemax, late night Cinemax, if you know what I mean.
Softcore porn. Softcore porn is what you're going for.
It's exactly what it is. But they also show a very graphic scene of an unaliving, which also doesn't typically happen in movies. And yes, I don't agree with that term, but once again, YouTube does not like the other term, so please just roll with me on that.
I'm not
But,
an
like,
idiot. I'm online. I just didn't realize even like
yeah,
talking about considering what seems to trend on
mhm.
YouTube. I don't think they have any problem with the words penis and
Sure,
vagina. I agree with you.
probably
That
not.
threw me for the first time. There's like a whole slang, pew pew. They're gonna catch
Right.
that soon too. Like
Oh,
because
they
they can
100% will,
because
yeah.
AI can catch sounds. Back to hunting wives. So
Yeah,
hunting wives. So we don't know if they're
it's-
righteous. We don't know if they're vicious. But it is definitely the show du jour, and they are showing you more is what you're getting at. And
but
Netflix,
beyond that,
I mean, why not?
and beyond that, though, the storyline though is now roped me into where now I'm like playing full on, like sitting forward on my couch as like the detective trying to figure out who is doing this, who's the one that is the true kind of criminal here, who's the killer, is all
It's
that.
Sarah. It's Sarah. I'm just gonna tell you now, it's Sarah.
I wish there was an actual Sarah in the show.
I wish there was a Sarah, and I would like the chat blows up. You motherfucker! We haven't been saying it was gonna be Rachel.
Yeah, imagine you'd be right too. That would be funny.
It is funny. I'm glad you brought up the YouTube because I genuinely believe that they would flag certain words, like synonyms for
100% too.
departed, that kind of stuff. Departed is another one because he was departed. But they probably will let curse words like fuck, shit, bitch, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, twat, whatever George Carlin says.
They don't let the C word go, so that's
are you
that
serious?
right there is probably going to screw us tonight.
So whatever.
I know for a fact the C word is definitely flagged.
See you next Tuesday gets flagged. But again, like
flag word, but the other ones are not though. Yes, I do know that much. Yeah.
What's going on with America these days? All right, so that was your like hunting wives. No, I think I might have to get into it. I'm not going to spoil it like I normally do every other show or movie that I don't watch. I go straight to the Wikipedia or I find like the fan page and I just read the synopsis.
Yeah, I'd say the storyline is good enough beyond just the shock value of what they're showing you on TV. The storyline is good enough that like you'll don't spoil it for yourself. It's like
almost sounds like
story.
Remember the show? Whatchamacallit? It was big. Desperate Housewives. It almost sounds like Desperate Housewives meets Dexter in a weird way. But maybe throw in an element of whatever that freaking movie was, Black Swan, Rachel.
That's a hell of a movie. There's multiple villains in this show too. The question is, which one do you point at for the biggest crime? Basically, that's what's catching.
There's multiple assholes. You just don't know which one's guilty of the crime.
Exactly. So well, they're all guilty of crimes in the show, but it's really who can you pin the biggest one on is what it comes down to, which makes it kind of keeps your head going. So it's well written. But yes, what's your pivot?
ESPN and NFL. And for anybody who's like, oh, it's not a merger. It kind of is a merger. Here, we're going to sell you NFL Network, and I'm not knocking it. Do you think that there is a conflict of interest now, just omnipresent with NFL coverage when it comes to ESPN?
I wouldn't use conflict of interest as the phrase. I think it's because I think the NFL is still spread out across enough platforms between CBS, NBC, Fox, and like I don't think it's a conflict of interest necessarily. I think ESPN realizes that people are sick of watching their creative sports shows and they just want to go back to the days of watching fucking sports.
Just sports.
So in that sense, I think they're doing it right. And my biggest fear, along with everybody else's biggest fear, is don't fuck up Red Zone. You fuck with Red Zone, you're going to piss off a lot of people.
What is his name? Scott?
I honestly forget.
Whatever his name is, they because they obviously since the deal came out. Two quick follow-ups on that. Yes, on the Red Zone, I agree. Don't fuck with what you got greatness. Yeah. They just rolled out the deal starting September 3rd, $40 a month for NFL Network and Red Zone bundled into one. So coming to an inbox near you soon. Check your email, folks.
So they're keeping those identities.
That's what they did. They bought the products. Cool. It's kind of like the Pat McAfee show. People were like, "Well, is that going to fly?"
Not Van Pelt. We'll talk about the guy on Red Zone, Smitty.
Different Scott. I can't remember his damn name. He's the Red Zone guy. He goes a mile a minute, doesn't piss for like 9 hours.
Hansen, maybe no. Hansen, someone. No.
Chris Hansen is How to Catch a Predator. But back to my Red Zone thing. First of all, somebody did ask him, "Could you do a college one?" And he said, "Could I?" He's like, first of all, it would be a longer day, much more. He's like, because he says he thinks that there's way more opportunity and you could have way more fun with it.
I would start taking college product in through a red zone.
And that's what he was saying. He's like, it would obviously be, how do you do that? The second thing with this merger, when I say you kind of answered the question when I talked about conflict of interest, and the answer, and you without answering it, you said, yeah, there's obviously a fucking conflict of interest because they're not gonna dive into serious hard-hitting sports journalism. They're not going to go more down that kind of like edgy, let's go out there and try to be brave. No, the mob has stated what they want, and they want blood and games. That's what they want. They want bread and games. That's what
like it used to be.
Yeah, all the way back to the Roman times. That was the saying. It was like blood and bread, or bread and games.
Like early 2000s ESPN, but sure, we'll go Romans.
And so, but where do you think the whole sport culture is born out of? I think that was them saying like, yeah, we're no longer worried about writing hit pieces. We're not going to go out. So that was what I was saying is when, because it's just law of large numbers. It's no offense. You get, how many guys are on an NFL roster? 50, 54?
52.
52. We'll call it 50 for math's sake. So you got 50 times 32 teams. 52. So we got like we'll call it 2,000 NFL players out there. And, law of large numbers. Somebody's going to do something stupid this year that is worthy of a headline, that is worthy of investigation and follow-up. I'm not talking about like your run-of-the-mill DUI where it's like, oh, okay, there's another shocker, like guy had too much to drink, thought he was invincible, doing 120 down, A1A and got pulled over. Okay, thanks, Tyreek Hill. Have a nice night. I'm talking about like something Shohei Ohtani-ish or Pete Rose-ish that starts to get pulled at in a little bit of a thread where guys on Substack, people like you and me, Twitter, everybody, when the story just starts to unfold around, how are they going to be able to how are you going to be able to do a 3-hour pregame show about NFL when there's a huge scandal involving, the Baltimore Ravens owner and the NFL, covering up some sort of tax. Like, I'm just thinking of like anything, like just pull something out of thin air. Are they going to talk about it? And if they don't, then do we give a shit about credibility with their coverage? Or is it just much more about, just shut up and just show me the sports? See, and I think that's what the beauty of ESPN back in the day was in like the early 2000s was that objective.
When the sports were on, it was the sports and they just talked about sports. And then if you wanted the other stuff, like you're saying, the unraveling of the owners or the players or like what they're doing off the field or whatever, the drama stuff per se, that was on their Sports Center or their ESPN News. They started to blend it all together, which doesn't work. You gotta, because people want to tune in to watch sports. That's why they get mad when the NFL starts throwing, social political stuff on the sideline. People get mad because they just want to watch sports. And like, I get it to an extent, but I also like whatever. We don't need to go down that road.
It gives you the pivot gives you whiplash when you go from the bottom 10 of the week to, yesterday was George Floyd's funeral, and you're like, oh my God. Like, again, no disrespect, but like you're pointing out, you got to let somebody know it's coming. Netflix, you got to let me know I'm going to get a dong in the face. Thanks for the heads up, by the way, when I go to watch that show.
It caught me so off guard. And then I will say this, I will spoil one.
How many times did you rewind it?
No, I didn't rewind at all. But the main character, and I wish I remembered her name, the actress's name, because she's been in a lot of things everyone will recognize or whatever. Later on in another scene, she's talking to the guys who had his dick out, his sister, and was like, "Oh yeah, I met Kyle. Great guy, big dick."
I love that, and I kind of like. There's a great Shaq.
It's a perfect line.
There's a great Shaq joke, and I can't remember who said it, but basically,
it was Pete Davidson about Kevin Hart at the roast. Like, oh, you're talking about
your bodyguard.
Oh no! I thought you were going back to the dick comment about like you're the size of Shaq's dick or something like that. Talking about Kevin Hart.
There is another. Well, I guess there's multiple jokes out there about the size of Shaq's donger. But there's a joke about a guy's like in the locker room, and I was walking into the shower, and there's Shaq's bodyguard stops me and is like, so like just staring me right in the face, and so I had to turn around and walk away. Later, I was like, hey, I met your bodyguard. He's like, I don't have a bodyguard, and I realized it wasn't his bodyguard; it was his dick.
No, I didn't hear that was
the kind of joke. Back to what I was bringing it up anyways in the first place. So ESPN merger. Thanks for diving down that rabbit hole with me. It's going to be fun. I do think that sports are back. Thank God. Yeah. ESPN News, even is not going to be so much investigative journalism as it's going to be constant analysis and commentary, which I also think is their way of on high, Disney on high going, excuse me, we already own ABC and ABC News and some other news entities. You know, I remember there was, I can't remember which politician got in trouble, said first, maybe like to LeBron, shut up and dribble. Like, sounds like a Trump thing. But like,
I don't think it was.
No, I don't think it was either. I think it was somebody. I think
Rubio or a Ted Cruz or something like that.
Tucker Carlson, maybe on Fox News. But it was somebody like that, like taking a shot at him, being like, the hell's her name? Megan Kelly. There's a Megan Kelly thing, I think.
Okay.
Maybe. I'm going to throw some shade there. But it is a little bit like that, where it's kind of like, hey, gang, like focus on the sports because you crank out great money. And I bet wholeheartedly if anybody was like, I want to be a journalist instead, it's like, all right, well then go down the fucking hallway to ABC, you know, check in and go beat the pavement or whatever they do nowadays. So it'll be fun to watch that. I bring all this back to, if you missed it, it's worth going back and watching clips and looking at it. Rich Eisen hosted Sports Center last night for the first time in 23 years.
Oh, did he? I missed that.
As a promotion because of this Disney NFL Network merger. I'm like getting teary-eyed because I watched
clips.
Dude, the closing scene, he talks about Stuart Scott. There's a shot of Stu Baby sitting over his shoulder and he like points at him. I mean, talks about what this means because, and I saw Rich Eisen talking about it on his show. He was like, it was Monday's show and it was a clip and it was during the daytime because he was basically being like, yeah, no, I'm not joking. I'm hosting Sports Center tonight. And they were like, what? And they're like, yeah, you know, ESPN reached out and said, hey, do you want to do this? Like we're, you know, because one of the other big things was the Rich Eisen show. When he left ESPN, he left, fun fact, his last show he ever did was with Dan Patrick. Now I'm going to get teary-eyed. But anyways, when he left ESPN, and DP's told this, Rich has told it on the Dan Patrick show, but it was a long shot. It was like, we're launching the NFL Network. We want you to be the face, like the you know, the Brett Baer to Fox News or like the Chris Berman to ESPN. Like we want you to be that guy, that face.
A big ask.
It was a huge ask because there was no fucking guarantee this was going to work at all. In the first few years, it didn't. And now Rich Eisen himself and the Rich Eisen show on the West Coast is huge. It's massive. You know, it is one of the premier, if not the premier sports talk show out there. That's outside of the realm of like, pardon the interruption or pardon my take. Sorry.
Pardon my take. Yeah.
So anyways, he was talking about how they just said, you want to do it for old time's sake. And he said, yes. And if you go watch the clips, it's the old school intro music. It's the old school cadence.
I could see the old banner and everything.
But then all of a sudden there's Joe Burrow tossing a fade route to the back of the end zone. And you're like, what the hell's going on?
I love that though.
I got a feeling we're going to see more of this because the reaction to it has been huge so far. Guys,
it's the golden age of Sports Center. It was
100%. Well, to the point where there's a couple of books. One is Those Guys Have All the Fun. That tells the story of kind of like Sports Center and its development, more so just Sports Center. The story of ESPN is fascinating in its own right. But there's a show. What is it? 19 minutes in. Now I'm going to make an Aaron Sorkin reference.
Oh, there we
Aaron
go.
Sorkin, West Wing Newsroom, my guy. He also wrote a show that had 2 seasons, short run, 30-minute sitcom. And I say sitcom, more situational drama than it was a dramedy. Kind of like West Wing was not a comedy, but it had some light writing, but it was a really serious show. It was called Sports Night. And if you watch it, you'll recognize almost every actor or actress in it because they were all heavy hitters and everywhere else. And they went on to big things. And many of them reused again in the Sorkin universe. It was based on Dan Patrick and Keith Olbermann and those guys at Sports Center and ESPN. And it was supposed to be like a behind the scenes. If you've never seen that, you got to find it.
I've never seen it. Yeah.
It is one of my favorite all-time television programs. But Rich Eisen, good to see. It was good to see him back behind the desk. It kind of reinforced again that sports are supposed to be entertaining and light and fun and an escape. And then at the very, very end, he has a tribute to Stuart Scott and puts everything kind of in perspective. So if you're of our generation, if you're a sports mind and you haven't seen that, get your tissues and go find that episode, go find the clips. Hell, just subscribe to Rich Eisen's social media and you'll see it all.
I love that. I will have to go check that out because I did not know that happened last night, and I had no clue. So now I'm gonna have to go watch it. I'm not just gonna watch clips. I want to go watch like the full. If I can find the full clip.
Dude, I mean, the whole episode. If you have Disney Plus, do you have Disney?
Oh,
do you have
I have Disney Plus. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like on the right hand side, you'll see the little icon for ESPN. Go click that, and it should have the full episode there.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. So here's you ready for me to bring us back to golf?
I am, because I was just trying to quickly figure out how I was going to do that. But if you have a way, go for it. Lead the play.
You're gonna love this. It involves. It's gonna be. We're gonna get canceled. It's another Trump reference. The PGA Tour has announced their signature events for next year. We're at the Tour Championship. We are here, folks. We made it all season long.
Yep.
Woot woot. Here is the welcome to the Scotty Show, and everybody is playing spoiler. But part of it too is they look forward and they talk about next year. And Trump Doral down in Miami has, Doral down in Miami has been the Blue Monster. The course has been part of the PGA Tour lore for forever. And then a handful of years ago, amidst a lot of the uproar or surrounding, President Trump and anything he was touching, all of his golf properties. I mean, the RNA is already talking about bringing Turnberry back, but they all kind of said, and by the way, it's the pure definition of nothing personal, man, just fucking business. Like, and that's why
it's a bad look for us right now. So we're not going to touch you.
Yeah. And by the way, every industry does this. The NFL does it. It's called the commissioner's list. It's like, hey, listen, we're just going to put you over here on the shelf for a while. We're not like disowning you, but we're going to just.
We want to see how this storm passes by and how much damage it brings.
So I guess that signature events 2025. I'm kind of curious. I think they're all familiar, but then there's just this like Miami. It says like Miami Invitational or Miami Open signature events. Oh Jesus, 2025 news Bullocks. Oh, 2026. I forget that next year's gonna be 2026. All right, we have got blah 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 blah. Yeah, the Century. So we got the Century. That's the Tournament of Champions. That's everybody who won from last year. That's. I mean, I want to get rid of that so bad. AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. I'm glad they're keeping that as a signature event. I think in recent years it has bounced back and forth. Pebble Beach deserves to be, as we've talked about all season long, the venue, and Rory's been reinforcing it. A lot of the players, venues are what matters to the players right now.
It is.
So we got to focus on that. Backed by the Genesis Invitational, which is going to be fun to see back to back there. That looks like with Pebble Beach and Genesis. Then what's up?
I was just going to say, because I'm assuming you're about to say Arnold Palmer next. How do you feel about having 3 in a 4-week span? Is that cramming too many signature events in? Or, I mean, obviously the more bigger fields, the better, but I'm curious to look forward. Does that mean we're going to get less signature events down the season?
So yes and no. Let's finish this real quick. We got Arnie Palmer, then the Heritage, the Miami Championship, April 27th to Miami 3rd, and then the Truist, which was the Wells Fargo, Wachovia before that, and then it's probably the Truist, which will be back to where did Scotty win? Quail Hollow.
Yeah.
And Memorial Day and Travelers kind of being the last one, the New England Anchor, late June, before the Open Championship.
And I'm going to answer my own question. And actually, it does make sense because that's leading into major season. We get those 3 in a 4-week span before major season. So
and then we get like a signature event, a major, and then like 1 more week before the next major. So
that works. That goes. I like that. Okay.
So we've got the schedules. It's dropped for next year. TGL has announced they're kicking their season off.
I saw that early this year.
So
December 28th.
Let's keep talking about schedule real quick. December 28th is when they're doing their. I'm curious.
Well, when the Century is January 8th.
No. When the college football playoff.
You think they're trying to avoid that?
Not avoid. What game on December 28th are they trying to lead into by saying TGL, that kind of thing? Or what are they going to be? So let's see here. None. Okay, so they'll be out of their way. December 31st is the first quarterfinal for the playoffs.
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah,
all
so
the
they'll
playoffs
be right
are going to be later this year. That's dope.
No
way.
Yeah, because the semifinals aren't even until the 8th, January 8th.
Damn, I like that it's later this year. So TGL getting underway December 28th. We get the Motor City Madness or whatever the fuck they're calling themselves. The Detroit Golf Club. I will only refer to them as the Divots Golf Club until they win something. They're the fresh faces. I'm looking forward to some TGL. What about you?
I took a screenshot when I saw it earlier because I am also looking forward to it. I also noticed there was no changes in these two teams, so it's still Horschel, Glover, Cantley, and Thomas going up against Fitzpatrick, Schauffele, Fowler, and Young. So we were kind of curious to see if there was going to be any turnover after the first season. At least at this point, it doesn't look like that. So I am curious to see how these guys look coming back. Now being much more familiar with it to start the season, like what does that look like now that we're going to have a full season of the new hammer rules, all that jazz. And it really got me thinking earlier. I was in the car and I was just thinking about it. It's whatever happens on the simulator part is in the TGL tends to be, I think, more so just like fun to watch. It's the part that everyone's more like chatting in the seats about. They're kind of talking over and kind of half paying attention to. The green is still where all the drama is. And that's what, like, golf, all the drama is always on the green, and they've captured that in the TGL. All the drama happens. That's where the majority of the hammer throws are. That's when the crowd really starts to get involved. So I'm curious to see if it's as successful the second season in. I think it's going to be, though. I'm not saying it's going to take a massive leap forward or anything, but I think it's going to at least hit expectations based off last year.
What they've proven is they are willing to adjust on the fly. They changed their rules throughout the season. So I do think that they're trending in the right direction. I agree, because one of a couple things has to happen. Either A, they got to dump a shit ton of money every year into like new greens and change that aspect up, or they have to continually change up the format, such as things like you can only throw the hammer on the green on the front nine. Back nine hammers have to be on the tee, like something like that. Or like the first six, there was 15-hole matches where the first 7 holes or the first 8 holes, you can play it anywhere. The last 6, 7 holes, I mean, that
or just break it up by singles and doubles. Like singles, you'd have to throw it on the tee. See, that'd be a good way right there, because then the whole hole is just that much more tense.
We saw that already with when they what do they limit the number of hammers now? Something along those lines. Yeah, because we saw
Well, you have 3, but you could throw them whenever you wanted. You didn't have to pass it, basically. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, but you only had those 3. So TGL making a comeback. I'm excited about that. And the reason I'm kind of dancing around the big show is because outside of, there's just is the Tour Championship getting stale?
So I also kind of was thinking about that, because as I was preparing and thinking about the Tour Championship this coming week, and I'm looking at the field, in my head, this is a 3-man race this weekend between Scotty, Rory, and Rose. Like it's those 3 are the 3 guys that I could realistically see winning this and being able to really capture the idea of being the champion of the year, the Tour champion. Outside of that, it's just like Tommy Fleetwood's not. I don't think he's going to get his first win here this weekend.
Here's the thing: he could, though. He very well could. We're talking.
But Scotty's just proven it doesn't matter. If anybody could, he's going to do it.
This is why I think there's not a problem. What we've got, and Rory pointed out to it, because they asked him how do you feel about the eliminating the strokes. And he said he actually kind of liked having, given the season-long guy an edge going into this final week. He thought that was appropriate. Shocker, he's won 3 of these things, even before the adjustments. I disagree, and I kind of am going back to we as the golfing community and the PGA Tour have to figure out how and where, and they're going to try to make this fit or feel. Because I'll tell you what, anybody, Chris Gotterup could come back from whatever. Sepp Straka, maybe he's going to come back from hiatus. The emotional weight is going to be lifted, and he's just going to win this week because he was a UGA guy. He knows Atlanta. He's been playing his balls off this year. If he wins, is he really the champion golfer of the year? Which I'm glad you borrowed that phrase for the Open, because, or like Tommy Fleetwood laughing about would it be great if I got it this week and then the FedEx Cup on top? Unless Scotty wins, we all know that Scotty was the best golfer of the year. Pause.
Correct. That's fair. Yep.
New England Patriots famously went 18-1.
Right. So it didn't matter at the end.
They were 1 bajillion %. the best team in football that year, but they were not the champions. So would it be fair to say, take that same logic and apply it here, even if somebody did come from behind? Because the come from behind aspect, when they were having that, when Xander like won the gross, division of several years, but he just had to start too far back. It's no different than these teams like Chiefs get a bye first round, then they get home field advantage. You do get little perks. Now it's just, hey, if you get to the end, everybody starts back fresh, and then we're going to crown a champion. I see it in its parallel to the other sports, which is you get to the playoffs, then it's all bets are off, and that's just how it is.
Yeah, that's how hockey's famous for their playoffs being so exciting, because it's anything goes once you're there. And we saw it before the Kings. The year the Kings won the Stanley Cup, they were the 8th seed. Like, it can happen. So, like, I get it from that aspect.
And even when those things happen, we recognize the champion and the grit. I mean, the New York Giants, Eli Manning, Hall of Famer on shitty Super Bowl winning teams. You know what I'm saying? Homeboy got lucky. They got lucky. I'm not saying that it doesn't take luck to win championships. Sometimes it takes a little more luck than others. But what we got going on this week, I think, needs to be altered in how it is either delivered or perceived, because even when Scotty wins this week, all I'm thinking is, cool, another bonus check. And that's kind of where I think that if you want to crown a regular season champion and have bonus incentives, which we already do, then fine. The Tour Championship, first of all, just rename the damn tournament. That's what's pissing me off the mostly. It's not the Tour Championship anymore. There's not like,
I'm down for that.
Yeah. I mean, just call it the FedEx Cup Final. Like, let's go. It's the fucking FedEx Cup Final. Even though I think this week is brought to you by Coca-Cola. The FedEx Cup Final brought to you by Coca-Cola.
The Coke Championship.
Back in the 80s. Call it something different, and then let's get match play going, or something. But this doesn't make my socks roll up and down. What I dig about it is I love the course. I love East Lake. I genuinely, I'm not wearing my East Lake hat. Damn. It genuinely is a beautiful track, and it's got history. But it, on a year like this, is it because Scotty was so dominant, or is it just this is the way the format is? Because let's take Scotty off the table. Then I can see this being a genuine. So Scotty Scheffler ruined the Tour Championship.
Yeah, because you're right. I think that's a very good point. Because if everyone already, no matter what happens this week, views Scotty as the champion, you're right. This tournament almost seems useless. It's just like you said, it's just a paycheck.
I mean, almost. And I think it's because the nature of golf is kind of like NASCAR, similar problem, where Daytona 500, their Super Bowl, they lead off with it. So everything after that is just kind of sugar and, or sweetener on top of it. So same thing with golf. We've already had our majors. This is the players are starting to take it a little more seriously, because on paper, it is the top 30 guys all year long. We have this grueling match. 140, 150 man tournaments, 70 to 80 man tournaments. And then all of a sudden we're going to whittle you down to 30. And the 30 are legit ballers. I went through the list the other day. There's one, who the fuck is this guy? And the fact that somebody gets to East Lake and I don't know who it is, I want you to scroll the field and I want you to guess who is Mr. Irrelevant at East Lake this week.
Well, you actually might know this, but I'm assuming it's Jacob Bridgman.
1 bajillion%. Like, so let's take a minute and let's not be rude and disrespectful.
No, because what's funny is I feel like we actually mentioned his name last year. Like, the name does sound familiar. Can I recall a few off the top of my head without looking at anything, like what he's done?
Please.
No, I can't, but I'll pull up his results. Let's take a look at his results this year.
Find out what we're working with here.
So he played in 26 events this year. He has 1 runner-up, 5 top 10s, and 9 top 25s. He only missed 9 cuts out of 26 events, so that's not bad. He won $4 million this year, so that's something. Let's see. So it's
Jesus. He looks like he's going to do your taxes. He's 5'10", 170. Young. Listen, That is the oldest 25-year-old I have ever seen in my life.
Now be careful, because last week when you did the whole hold up a screenshot picture up to close to the camera with Mr. Harry Hall, he proved me right and went on a run and got himself into the top 30.
He's
So
still,
he might be
not going to make the
he might
Ryder
be
Cup.
setting Bridge Cup. I know he's not, but you might be setting Bridgman up here. But Bridgman is one of these guys who really just caught fire at the right time, right around June, like right at the end of June at the Rocket Classic is when he really started doing good. He went T26, T5. At the Scottish Open, he went T75. Then he missed one cup, and then he went T38, T17, T19 in the last three tournaments at the Wyndham, the FedEx, and the BMW. So he's just one of those guys where he played well enough, but not great throughout the year to just keep himself in position to where when he turned it on, he was able to make a difference. So you got to credit the guy, but.
No, I definitely am. It was just, I was shocked. Like there's somebody in East Lake, and I didn't know who it was.
Right.
Greenville, South Carolina native, not unlike myself. Shout out to the Piedmont. And so, yeah, good for you, Jacob Bridgman. Go get him this week. I agree with you that it's kind of a three-man race in the sense of logically thinking who's going to win. I don't remember which three guys you talked about, but I mean, for me, it is Scotty, Rory, and then and say what you want about.
I said Rose.
You said Rose. I like that too. Not just because he won recently, because he was about to win all year.
Exactly.
And this is the end of a grueling, and without Xander Schauffele there, which is crazy. He's like Mr. Eastlake.
Yeah.
But also, who was it? Who was it? My guy. Look out for Mr. Sam Burns. Now let's talk Ryder Cup.
I can't lie. Sam Burns popped in my model where he's actually one of. So I said that from my heart and just my gut feeling, those three guys, Scotty, Rory, Rose, those were the three names that popped right out of my head. That said, these are the guys who can win. I'll tell you right now, the model for me shot out four guys who could possibly win this week, and it was Rory, it was Scotty, and it was Cam Young and Sam Burns. They just, from a number standpoint, they rate out well.
And he also went 3-0-1 in the President's Cup last year. We have to take all this into consideration. So Ryder Cup news. Before we get to the crystal ball, and we're honing in on the August 26th deadline where we're going to get those announcements. They did a good job with it a couple years ago where they do have like a selection show on Golf Channel. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
So we'll be tuned in for that. I don't know where I'm going to be. I might be up in Calais, Maine, which is like one step shy of Canada, literally one step shy of Canada.
Right.
Half the town works for Border Patrol. But the Ralph Lauren kind of like red, white, and blue, U.S. Team USA line got revealed. Yay! Yep. Okay, it's fine. It's fine as long as we're not trying to be too cute. I'm not a big fan of the polo, the Ralph Lauren look anymore. I don't like that. I don't like their style. But hey, it is what it is. You're talking to a guy in a hoodie. Now it's a Be Brave Acorn Hills hoodie, TBFY 15 for 15%. But ever since the 99 Ryder Cup, we've just kept it simple. Red, white, and blue. Mix it up in some pattern. Don't try to get too cute and put the tablecloths on there. So that was revealed. And then all of a sudden, we got to talk about picks.
We're there now.
You texted me an interesting update of a guy who's been hovering. I blasted right past him, but he shot up the leaderboard over the weekend recently, and I think he did it again this past week. Is Maverick McNeely, I think, has to kind of be there in considerations, and Ben Griffin. I think Benny Blades.
Griffin,
he wasn't always in there for me. I think he did what he had to do.
I've had him in for a bit. I've had him in for a little bit, but yeah, you're right. You were the one, so you're back on him now. You think he's done enough?
I think he's done enough. I think the guy now who's out for me is much more. Hold on a second. Ryder Cup, US. Okay. Ryder Cup USA is Colin Morikawa. I think Colin is now. He's just been so meh these last few weeks that I don't think that he's a must-have on the team anymore. That is where I was going with this. Where the fuck are the team standings?
So I also don't. So I don't like the way he's been playing, but he's also just so high in the rankings that I feel like Keegan is going to have him there from a veteran standpoint. So I still think he makes it. Do I feel great about it? No, because I don't like the way he's played really at all this year. Okay, this is and all right. 10-4 jumps in the chat here saying Keegan better pick himself. So we'll pivot into this because this is where I know you were leading into. I still love the optics and the idea of Keegan Bradley on this team. I would love for it to happen. I just think, and what I texted you specifically was I believe we've hit the scenario, because there was one of many, like there was more scenarios for me that Keegan picked himself than there was not. I think we have found ourselves in one of the few scenarios where I don't think he's going to pick himself now. Not only because he's dropped back to 11th in the rankings, and that was something we kind of thought about if he was on the cusp of even the top 12, could he pick himself? I don't even think that. I do think the emergence of Maverick McNeely these last few weeks, especially this past week, finishing third, and really try, because what was more impressive about Maverick McNeely's performance on Sunday specifically was what I've been saying all year. What I've wanted to see from guys is that when someone falters and starts to come back, who's going to take the opportunity to try to grab on and ride the bull up to the top and really try to take advantage of the opportunity. And that's what he did on Sunday. He saw an opportunity, he turned it up another notch, and he put his foot down. I think Keegan's going to notice that. So I do think he's in now, which leaves JT.
So you and I both agree. Hold on, real quick. You and I agree that I mean, obviously we know the lock. Justin Thomas is in, and Ben Griffin's in. You and I both agree with that.
So that gives us 8.
We both agree that basically we're saying Brian Harmon and Andrew Novak are gone.
Right.
You're keeping Colin. I'm dropping Colin. I'm keeping Keegan. You're dropping Keegan, and we're both bringing in Cam Young and Patrick Cantlay.
No, because Maverick, that's too many, because we're saying Maverick McNeely's in there now. So basically, it would be
I'm kicking out Colin. Listen, I got JT in there. I got Ben Griffin. I got Mav McNeely. And I think Keegan's going to drop himself.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to end up keeping Colin Morikawa in there. And then I think you're going to have Cam Young and Patrick Cantlay.
I thought you were saying Colin was out. That's what I was.
I think that Colin's going to be out and Keegan's going to keep himself. I think that's what's going to end up happening.
I would prefer that, honestly. I just don't think that. I don't think Keegan's going to do that.
I think he'll stay on the sidelines too and just not rock the boat.
I would much rather it be that way.
What if he wins this week? What if he wins this week?
Well, if he wins this week, I think everyone's going to tell me.
That's my point. Is I don't think it's dependent upon this week. I think they know what they're going to do, and he is playing, or it is contingent, and that's the plan too. Which is like, all right, we're going to see how it goes at East Lake. Like, if I'm performing, I'm going to play. Like, that's all there is to it. Which okay, cool, tight. We'll see TBD.
But do you still like, you were alluding to it, do you still like Sam Burns to make this team over one of Young or Cantlay then? Because Cantlay, let's be honest, Keegan pretty much came out and said Cantlay's going to make this team. I know he didn't, but he had high praises saying he's been playing with him a bunch lately. He likes what he could do for the team and shorter words than what the article said. So I think Cantlay's kind of a lock for this team based off of Keegan's remarks.
Well, I'm not. So I'll tell you right now, my 6 captain's picks. So let's just put it out there because there's been a lot of bumfuckery going on. Justin Thomas.
Yep.
Ben Griffin.
Yep.
Maverick McNeely.
Sure.
Cam Young.
Yep.
Patrick Cantlay. Sam Burns. I think those are going to be the 6. And I think that's where I think like Colin Morikawa, Keegan Bradley, Brian Harmon, Andrew Novak. Thanks for playing. That's where I think we're sitting right now, where I think and if Keegan picks himself, I think Sam Burns stays home. Unless he goes and wins this week.
So now this is interesting, and I don't necessarily
Cam Young,
mind
Patrick
this.
Cantlay, Sam Burns are 3 for 2 right now. In my mind.
Yeah, so I don't your lineup right there, I don't mind. 10-4 also puts in the chat here, and I don't think this will ever happen because I think this is going to break so far from the norm of what the Ryder Cup structure is. That is something they're going to go this far, but I kind of like this when it comes to a playing captain being a possibility. 10-4 says in the chat that he thinks that Keegan should leave the vote up to the automatic 6 qualifiers to pick him if they think he's deserving.
That's a great idea.
I love that. I don't think they'll ever do that. I don't think that'll ever happen.
Well,
but
here's the thing. They wouldn't vote him not to do it. They wouldn't vote. You know what I'm saying? If he puts it up to the guys,
they're gonna vote him in.
It's kind of like when Jeff. That's kind of like when Jeff Bezos suggests something in the boardroom. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. We'll take that into consideration, Coach. I think that's the right thing to do. Nope, I'm saying it's your decision. This is my suggestion.
See, and that would be like a guy's move right there, because in a way they'd be protecting him at that point. So where if he were to just go out there and pick himself, and he doesn't perform well because he's too distracted being a captain as well, then it's not on him that he forced himself in there. You know what I mean? So like, it's almost like they would do that to almost protect the possible playing captain, which I love that idea, because that just speaks to what we've been saying they need. They need that team camaraderie. They need that one unit mentality.
He's alluded to the fact that a lot of players have pushed, like, man, we got to do this. You got to think about it the way you've been playing. So, which is why they went back and kind of, he even said, we're looking at language in a captain's agreement that would allow me to play. Like, that has to be considered. But this isn't news. When the PGA of America said, we want you to do it, they flat out said, we'd love for you to be in a position to be the next playing captain, or the next since Arnold Palmer. Now, you use the magic word, my friend, and people are going to start to think that we have like interns and producers. Oh, well, that is my magic. That is my magic word, unit. No, but cohesion.
Yes.
Team cohesion. Enter baby back bitch Bryson. So okay, shout out Danny Dan Rappaport. Not that he needs my promotion, but he as so often he does, he eloquently kind of nailed it, and I'm going to take credit for essentially beating him to the punch where I was saying Colin Morikawa is becoming unlikable. That label has moved over to Bryson DeChambeau, who has worn this label before, the unlikable label.
He has.
He has, and I think the unlikable label previously was actually a misnomer. Previously, he was more misunderstood than anything else, and even Brooks has come out and said that. He's kind of like, you know what it is? We kind of picked on the new kid who just got to school, then we got to know him. We're like, oh, he's all right.
He was ahead of the analytical, stat-heavy culture too. Like he was ahead of his time by like 2 years on that, which I think played into that.
You know what? He's also like the guy who bought crypto early.
Yeah, but that's kind of what I'm saying.
Remind you that he always was the one who bought it early. It's like, get the fuck out of here.
He plays into it as well, but that's basically
you're on his boat, and he's like, hey, do you like taking a shit in there? It's like, yeah. He's like, crypto money.
I bought it with crypto.
So anyways, if you missed it, Bryson DeChambeau is coming out, and Danny Rapp, back to what I was trying to say, he kind of said he's becoming unlikable in this moment. And and I agree with him. I love me some Bryson. This was a bad look. He tweeted out something along the lines of, because in case you missed it, Captain Keegan and Team USA has finally been watching our show and listening to me. And the biggest gap in our competitive, nature for the Ryder Cup the last time was that we were dormant. So what he said was all 10 or all Ryder Cup players are going to be out in Napa playing in the Pro Cure Championship. And he's like, I want everybody out there. Now, they're probably going to play practice rounds together. They're going to probably have dinners together. They're probably going to have like houses together. They're going to try to do this for team cohesion. Okay, it's a PGA Tour event. Bryson DeChambeau's on the Ryder Cup, but he can't play in PGA Tour events. So Bryson, and do you have it pulled up? Did you happen to find the tweet?
So that's what I'm looking for, the tweet right now, and I wonder if it came down. I'm not seeing a tweet. Was it like just recently? You saying?
It might not even have been a tweet. His statement basically was
pulled down. If it's a tweet,
oh, probably. What did he say here? It's a scenario that's unfortunate. Okay, yeah, here it is. No, it wasn't a tweet. He told Sports Illustrated this.
Oh, okay, that's what I can't find. Okay.
Because essentially, and I love it. Keegan's like, listen, we're getting our asses kicked because we're getting rusty. So yeah, guys, everybody's playing. We're all going to be out there. It's going to be their own little mini camp, which we tried to do in Rome, but there was too many selfies and wags involved.
They did it too late too.
Right. So they're going to be out there at the Pro Cure Championship in a couple weeks, which will be a lot of fun, and it'll bring a lot of attention to this shoulder season event. I think it might actually kind of set a precedent moving forward. But unfortunately, Bryson, even though he's going to be on the team, can't play. And so he said, that's up to the tour and their decision to make. It's on them if they don't want to let us come together as a team and play. It's this whole victim mentality, this
Yes.
victim culture that has really kind of taken hold in a lot of circles in society. And it's one of those
Yes.
moments where people are starting to say things that are true, but they're saying it in a way that just makes you go like, I don't care that you have a point. Like what you're saying is, no, Bryson, this
Yeah.
is America. This is adulthood. You made decisions. This is one of the
It's almost like
consequences.
just leave that last part of the line off. The part about if they don't want us to come together, just leave that part off. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
shame.
that's
If
up to
you
their
left it,
interpretation.
it's a
It's
shame
on
I
the
can't play. It's up to them. Like that right there, that could be seen as a very professional statement.
He goes on to say, "It's a scenario that's unfortunate, and I wish it was different, but Liv's willing to let me play. Of course, they're willing to let you play.
Yeah.
They have everything to gain. They have nothing
Right.
to, so I hate this because it's just gonna, it's like, it's one of those things of like, bro, why? We had all moved on. Everybody has moved on.
Exactly.
You, with that comment, had to come in here and bring it all back up. And you know what?
It's just not what we need going into the Ryder Cup.
No, so
It's
much
not.
good, so much goodwill that you are building up does get flushed by that. Now, I hope he does kind of come out and clarify, because that's such a bad look, and nobody likes that guy. Like the passive aggressive is, nobody likes that. It's just, it's horrible. It's a bad look. And speaking of Liv, so the only way that I mean, it was for a while, Liv was the only golf tour that would that would do business with the Trumpster, but now that he's back,
Right.
I think that their team championship, their Bedminster event next year is still on. But this week, Liv, trying to pivot to Liv and did a roundabout way, stopped by my ass there for a second. They're doing their team championship this week. Truth gun to your head. Who won not the year-long individual race, but who won that individual championship event last week?
Wait, so now I'm confused because did John Rahm win the year-round race?
He did. And guess how many events he won?
2. He didn't win a single one.
Liv,
not a single win. Where'd Joaquin Neiman finish with his like 4 or 5 whatever the hell many he had?
Sebastian Munoz was the answer you were looking for. He won last week. But to your other question, I was just looking at myself. What were the overall standings? Let's take a look. Liv individual standings, because I don't know how much longer they're going to keep this up. I don't think they're going to be. I honestly, my prediction a couple years ago was this was going to be their final season. I think they'll squeeze out at least one more, because maybe they got John Rahm for another year. But let's see here.
He is big enough that he could carry a year on his own if enough left. So I could see that.
John Rahm edged out Joaquin Neiman by 3 points. I don't know how their point system works, but it was 226.16 points for John Rahm, 223.68 points for Joaquin Neiman, and Bryson DeChambeau in third with 144 points. Let's go. So here is your like, this is going to be a fun little exercise. Do me a solid.
Okay.
Pull up the FedEx Cup standings real quick.
I already got them up. What do you know?
All right, I'm going to read off the top 10 of the LIV Golf standings. John Rahm, Joaquin Neiman, Bryson DeChambeau, Sebastian Munoz, Dean Burmester, Taylor Gooch, Patrick Reed, Carlos Ortiz, Sergio Garcia, and David Puig. Who are the top 10 in the FedEx Cup standings?
Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, JJ Spawn, Justin Rose, Tommy Fleetwood, Ben Griffin, Russell Henley, Sepp Straka, Bobby McIntyre, and Maverick McNeely.
Okay. Let's read the next couple. Bubba fucking Watson. Come on. Bubba Watson, Abraham Answer, Mark Leishman, Dustin Johnson, Lucas Herbert, Paul Casey, Adrian Maronk, Cam Smith, Thomas Pieters, and Tom McKibben. Who are 11 through 20? Just do this for me.
Harris English, Justin Thomas, Cameron Young, Ludwig Oberg, Andrew Novak, Keegan Bradley, Sam Burns, Brian Harmon, Corey Connors, and Patrick Cantlay.
All right.
I'm going to say on the PGA side, at least 17 of those guys, if not more, have won an event this year.
In the better question, what I'm kind of understanding as I do this, and it was just an exercise to see if anything jumped out to me, because I started to kind of count like who the fuck are these guys, and because I am a absolute dork about this stuff, I recognize all these names. But I don't think that Sebastian Munoz, Dean Burmester, Carlos Ortiz, David Puig, I don't think these are like household names. But then again, neither is Ben Griffin or Maverick McNeely or any of these guys yet. So there's a healthy balance. I think that the success of the guys at the top of the PGA Tour when you get into the big stage obviously is a little, little shining a little brighter. But the best question I saw posed recently after Scotty's recent win was, who on LIV would be impacting this right now? Is Joaquin, John Rahm or Joaquin Neiman, if they're playing every week against Scotty, is he still not doing this?
No, that's the thing. I think Scotty's still doing this. So I think John Rahm would be in that mix of the top 10 in the FedEx Cup, probably. Like, I think he'd be able to handle himself to where he's in the mix. Do I think he affects Scotty? No. I don't think that's the thing. I don't think anybody right now, including Rory McIlroy, affects Scotty. Scotty's just doing Scotty. So I think that question might have been asked the wrong way. It's more so, would any of them be in the mix right now of those top 20 we just said? I think John Rahm would be. And I think if Joaquin Neiman had even half the season on the PGA Tour that he had on LIV Tour, like, obviously, he's going to be in the top 22. But other than that, no, I don't think any of those guys are top 20 material on the PGA Tour FedEx Cup this year.
No, I don't think so either. I think John Rahm's the exception. 3 top 10s in the majors in the last two years. So I mean, it's a respectable showing. Lost the train of thought. Damn, ran it right off the rails. Sorry.
Fine.
Back to the John Rombo real quick. The European Ryder Cup team taking shape. I do think that your boy Harry Hall, I mean, even though I think he's 17th, I think it's 17th in the Ryder Cup standings.
What is it? 17th, yeah.
Yeah, but I think because he did make such a splash, if he does another move in East Lake and finishes top 10 or maybe even top 15, I think he's going to get a consideration just because you take a hot hand, and I think they have a little more wiggle room with some of their picks.
I could see him over like a Matt Wallace, who's currently in that top 12, like something like that. Now, I mean, outside of that, though, you're looking at, I think, unfortunately, that would probably be like the one guy, if you're just strictly looking at the top 12, say all top 12 were the guys on the team. Like, he's not going to miss out. He's not going to take the place of Fitzpatrick, Hovland, Oberg, Højgaard, or Straka. Like, I think Wallace is his way in, probably.
Højgaard, maybe.
Oh, Højgaard, yeah, I could see that too. Maybe. But I think both Højgaard brothers did good enough last time around in the Ryder Cup that I think they have enough confidence in him. So this is kind of a flip that Rasmus is ahead of Nikolai this time around. But so I wouldn't mind seeing the Scally Cap Harry Hall in there. It'd be fun. But I don't think he ultimately makes it, unfortunately. We'll see though.
We'll see.
Now it's going back to LIV real fast though. Did you see the relegations?
Yes.
Okay. So this is interesting because, so the names themselves being relegated, not necessarily crazy interesting, other than you brought up in the text chain, Anthony Kim, and the meme you saw about him being relegated to Maxi Golf, which I thought you were right. Fucking hilarious. But Hendrick,
so mean-spirited.
It is. It's so mean.
Because he's trying so hard. He turned his life around, but it's one of those things. He went too far gone, and then when he came back, he shot his goodwill by trying to fire back on Twitter. So
Exactly. So Henrik Stenson gets relegated. Andy Ogletree, who was a big-time amateur, he gets relegated. I think we see him come around again eventually.
I think he's going to come out of the PGA Tour. He was the guy who went the route. Yeah, exactly. He went the route of the International Series, finished high there, got into LIV for a year, probably made some money, and now he's going to come back and do his thing.
Right. I think another guy who could potentially do that too, that also got relegated, is Mito Pereira, because he was a name that we were talking a lot about. I could see him getting back in the mix. Jubin Yang, don't know, honestly. Frederick Kajetrup, don't know.
Nope.
But my biggest question, I think it's funny that they use the word relegated, because that word in soccer and kind of at the core of the word means you're not just kicked out, but you're being relegated.
Demoted.
My understanding means you get moved to something else. And my question is, where are they getting relegated to? Because they're not. They're just getting demoted. Like it's almost like they're, like you said, they're getting demoted. They're going to keep their contact information. If a spot opens up, we'll take a look at your resume in the pile again. You know what I mean? Like,
they're getting relegated to the international series is where they're getting relegated. That's what that's their answer. By the way, I did look into this a little bit because they were like relegation. Well, because you think about it, their only avenues back are now win the international points, race, the Asian Tour, and I think some of the Australasian, PGAs, or the LIV Promotions event, which they still, I don't think, have announced coming up. So I do agree, though. It's kind of funny where it's like relegated to what? To freedom, to like going to play elsewhere, because now.
All right.
So
I'm sure if any of these guys were like, okay, we're going to try to go back on the PGA Tour, once they're relegated, I'm sure LIV's not going to give a fuck.
And I'm glad we're ending with this because it does go to show that LIV has a closed shop. They got 48, 50 guys, whatever it is. PGA Tour has cycles through. I would love to see, maybe we'll look this up, how many unique individuals teed it up in a PGA Tour event this year versus how many, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that right there, and now we're down to 30. If it was just these 30 guys for 20 weeks, we wouldn't watch them. You know why? Because some of them would start struggling so bad, like a couple of them did throughout the year. But the proof is in the pudding. We do get a champion every year who just about every year who we go, yeah, that makes sense. I fear for this year where we might have a Harry Hall play spoiler, and then he's hoisting the FedEx Cup smiling, because it really is about these 3 weeks. And that's why the FedEx Cup playoffs are aptly named. It's not really about a season long. They're going to get away from this season long champion, and they're going to talk about the season long race to the playoffs, where you were going to crown a playoff champion versus like this whole thing. Because we all know Scotty's the MVP. He's going to win all the awards. He's going to win player of the year. He's going to win all that shit. He's all team, fall first pro, whatever. But we're going to have a fun week this week because I think there's enough guys playing well enough and diluted enough and with a chip on their shoulder enough with all this talk, like you and me going out there going, it's inevitable. Scotty, Thanos, and, hemorrhoids after riding a horse for too long on the mountains.
Yes, there we go. All right, look, that's a good place. We're going to end on hemorrhoids. Thanks for joining us this Tuesday night. We'll be here back again next Tuesday night to discuss what happens this week here on Divots and Pivots. We love you guys. Stay classy and join us again.